Have you ever had a breast augmentation? Do you know how scary breast augmentation surgery really is? This video will show you the whole process of breast augmentation surgery. As a common female plastic surgery, breast augmentation surgery is to implant a kind of soft silicone implant into the breasts in order to increase the volume of the breasts and make them fuller. Generally speaking, breast augmentation implants come in teardrop and round shapes. They are different in size. Your doctor will choose the right implant for your individual situation. The implantation process can be done in the following ways. The first is to make a semicircular incision of 3 to 4 centimeters around the lower part of the areola. The second is around the periaxillary glands, through an axillary incision. The third type of implant is placed 1 to 4 centimeters below the inframammary fold. This is also the most common type. Let's take the third type of implant as an example to briefly understand the whole procedure. First of all, the surgeon will design the procedure and the incision line before the surgery. Before the surgery begins, the surgeon will give the patient local anesthesia. Then the surgeon will follow the incision line designed beforehand. An incision of 3 to 4 centimeters is made in the inframammary fold. The surgeon then uses an electrocautery device to separate the skin from the subcutaneous fat, deep into the myofascia. At the same time, the electrocautery needle reduces the amount of bleeding at the incision by separating the skin. The prepared silicone implant is then inserted into the separated space. Here the surgeon inserts a finger into the deep surface of the pectoralis major muscle to ensure that the implant is fully inserted into the gap. Finally, the incision is closed in layers. The whole process takes less than 3 hours, and then a breast augmentation surgery is completed. However, the recovery process also takes a long time. Although breast augmentation can improve the shape and symmetry of breasts, but you have to choose according to your own situation. After all, what suits you is the best.
Do you know how you can open a luggage combination lock if you forget the combination? Here's a 1-minute video that reveals the principles of luggage combination locks and their vulnerabilities. Let's take apart a common luggage combination lock and see its basic construction. First is the combination wheel, which has 10 numbers from 0 to 9 on the outside, and each number corresponds to 10 serrations on the inside. These serrations are interlocked with serrations on another hub that is attached to the combination wheel, and they rotate together. On the outside of this hub there is a groove, and the groove corresponds to a tooth on the inside that just fits over a grooved axle. And there are 3 positions on the axle with small diameters. When the hub is in this position, it can rotate freely. And when the convex tooth is aligned with the groove on the axle can move back and forth. There are usually 3 sets of combination wheels, which means that the axle can only be moved for unlocking when the convex teeth of all 3 hubs are aligned with the grooves on the axle at the same time. Note that the grooves on the outside of the hub mentioned earlier also correspond to the grooves on the axle, and they are in the same straight line, so that the correct code is displayed on the combination lock. It is the notch on the wheel hub that is the loophole in the combination lock. We can use a lighting device such as a flashlight to see this notch in the gap right next to the combination wheel. We can turn all 3 combination wheels so that all 3 notches align upwards in a straight line and write down the numbers at this time, and then each combination wheel at the same time forward 5 digits. The combination wheel also rotated half a circle. The 3 code wheel hub of the convex teeth are also just aligned with the groove on the wheel axle. At this time you see the number on the combination lock is the correct password. Of course, this kind of horizontal combination lock, in fact, you can also see the notch, but only need to advance 2 or advance 3 digits. Some combination locks even have a viewing window directly next to the combination wheel. The purpose is to fear that you forget the code. But 90% of people do not know the skills and violent unlocking. You now know the secret, can immediately go to verify. But the premise must be to take their own password box test, or will be punished by the law.
What changes would occur to the body if one soaked in a bath for 48 consecutive hours? At the start, when you first lay in the bathtub, the warm water gradually relaxes your muscles. Bathing indeed relieves fatigue from your body. However, that doesn't mean the longer you soak, the better. After 30 minutes, problems arise with the skin. You'll notice that wrinkles begin to appear on your fingers and toes. This is because the outer layer of the skin contains a protein called keratin. The dead cells in the stratum corneum, the outermost layer, easily absorb water and will swell when soaked for a long time. Due to frequent use, the skin and stratum corneum on the hands and feet are relatively thicker, so they are more prone to swelling and wrinkling when soaked. But this doesn't cause any substantial harm to the body. In fact, wrinkled fingers can grip slippery objects better as the wrinkles increase the friction of the palm. As time goes on, the fingers and the stratum corneum will turn pale. The epidermis, outer layer, and the dermis, inner layer, will gradually separate. At this point, you will find that the stratum corneum on your hands can be easily peeled off. After soaking for 24 hours, you'll notice small blisters, colloquially called vesicles, emerging on the skin. Because water cannot penetrate into the skin, the excess water remains between the epidermis and the dermis, causing the epidermis to bulge and form these blisters. Although these vesicles are small, never underestimate their impact. If you choose to continue soaking, the vesicles on your body will grow larger and will soon ulcerate. At this point, one might wonder, why don't athletes who spend years in swimming pools experience any discomfort? If you closely observe the hands of athletes, you'll find that almost all of their fingers lack fingerprints. After watching this video, would you still dare to soak for a long time? It's a nice thing to look at, but I paid for it with my life. At first, I was just an ordinary seashell, but every now and then, a parasite or a foreign object like sand or a rock would get into my body when I wasn't looking. My body has evolved the ability to withstand the intrusion of foreign objects. Whenever a bad guy comes, my pearl clam can secrete a kind of pearly substance on its own. It wraps the foreign object in layers, and it takes years or even longer for the nacre to form into a pearl. But one day I was caught by humans, and they pried my shell open. And when they saw these hard stones inside of me that had been torturing me to death, they showed extraordinary love and excitement. And when they removed the stones, they gave them the beautiful name of pearls. I was very grateful to them for removing the stones that had tormented me for so many years. But then came our misfortune. Ever since they discovered pearls, they became so popular with women that they were in short supply. So, in order to meet the demand, they began to study how pearls came to be. So, all kinds of surgeries were performed on me sand or creatures that couldn't easily enter my body. Now all it takes is for a human to pry my mouth open, pull the rings off my body, implant small pieces of cells into my body, and shove some round artificial nuclei into it. If we can't handle the pain, we'll die after the birth chamber is torn open. Or if we can't handle the pain of the stones, we'll die. If we can withstand the pain, it's only a matter of a few years. When the workers salvage me, the pearl matter secreted by my body can be turned into a beautiful pearl in this unnatural way. And then they'll remove the stones from my body, and then they classify them by their color, luster, shape, and size, and sell them at different prices. And then, the next round of torture. This is my life, and a stepping stone to your beauty. If one day you accidentally find yourself drowning, do you know how to save yourself? I will teach you 2 methods to prevent yourself from drowning. When a person is drowning, it's crucial not to panic and remain calm. Typically, someone who falls into the water will thrash around, which only accelerates their sinking and may lead to exhaustion and, eventually, death. The first thing you should do is try to make yourself float, because the human body naturally has the ability to float as long as the lungs are filled with air. So, simply maintain regular breathing, and at least you won't drown. If your current position is like this and to avoid sinking, you need to learn the correct treading water technique. First, keep your body upright, with your head above the water. You'll need to move your arms and legs to stay afloat, with a specific left-right inward motion. Moving your arms up and down may cause you to sink. As for your legs, you can use the frog kick or flutter kick to help you stay afloat. Both methods are effective. The second method is floating on your back, which is the best way to breathe normally and conserve energy. First, keep your head level and avoid raising it, as this will strain your neck and consume a lot of energy. Floating this way ensures you can breathe freely. Next, concerning your arms, you can either bend your elbows and place your palms under your head or extend your arms straight and close to your body. To float for a longer time, you can keep your palms facing upward and gently push your body upwards. It's essential to breathe evenly while floating. Do not hold your breath. If you take in a lot of air in your lungs at once, seems like you'll float a little better. But there's another problem. When you change your breath, you sink a lot more. Finally, remember, always swim in a safe environment. When tragedy strikes, there might not even be a chance to cry.